Thank you very much for joining. I have a few things, obviously, I'd like to share with you this morning. I think the main thing is this is obviously experimental when it comes to Zoominars. I mean, I thought about the word webinar, which is a seminar done on the web, and a Zoominar is obviously zooming a webinar. I think the other obvious choice was Zoominar or something like that, but then it got complicated. And I do love playing with words, so I will obviously go there. I see there are one or two people admitted as we speak, so they will be joining us. There you are, it's 10 o'clock. That basically was just a voice test. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you get some benefit out of this. There's some latecomers. I'm admitting them as we just reached 10 o'clock. Okay, what we are going to do is we are going to talk, en ek praat maar Afrikaans en Engels. Die materiaal is meestal in Engels. So obviously, please, if there's a problem, if you don't understand, I think somebody said the other day, if you are Afrikaans, you'll probably understand English. And if you're English, you probably might not understand Afrikaans fully, but we will try. So this is basically a collage or a cloud, a word cloud of the main words that you will find in the little booklet, which I wrote a few months ago. And you know, basically, we are going to talk about simping things. Now, somebody said yesterday evening, they told my wife, you know, do you know what the word simp means? You know, there's a negative meaning to it. But of course, but that was not the original meaning of the word simp. I will take you through it in a minute. But simp, in you know, in the context we're going to discuss this morning, is actually an abbreviation of it's actually S.I.M.P. And you will see all the words on that screen. So if you look at the word security, for example, that is the first word of the puzzle. If you look up a little bit further, somewhere along there, you will see the word identity slanted. And then the M stands for management, which is the word at the top there, which is a word I coined 2000, a trademark. And then the P is obviously the other one you can see there, which is purpose. So we will be talking about that this morning. And the yellow plan is, I'm not too sure how many people do not understand English, but please help me. You can switch on your mic and I'll translate. And if it's the other way around, please do that as well. We are going to take a break somewhere between, probably between 5 to 11 and 11 o'clock, you know, just so you can take, not a smoke break, but you can take a break to inhale some smoke. It's quite cold out there, I'm sure. Right, so the word simp is a word I didn't coin. It was actually first coined by a very clever person, and you probably heard about him already. It's Edward de Bono. Edward de Bono is now in his 80s. I think he's 83 years old. He is what they call the father of lateral thinking. He was the one who said we must think outside the box. And many years ago, a friend of mine actually gave me a book. He gave me a thick book. I think it was something like, it could have been 2 inches thick. A thick book, and the book's name was Simplicity. And that's when I started thinking about this word, which I found inside. I think somebody's picking up, there's a vibe there, good. Let me just direct you to, if you're interested in buying this book, you could go onto Amazon. You can go to Amazon, put in my name, spell it correctly, and get just simp it. It's going for $1.99. I marked it down for a little while there. So if you want to invest like maybe $30, 30 Rand or something, 30 or 40 Rand, you can actually download it and use it, read it on your device. So that's just the story there. You can go, it's if you belong to a club, you can get it for $0 and read it. It's a Kindle club. So that's $1.99, but that's a story. Okay, so let me just say this. I think I'm actually now starting proper. You can read what I'm actually saying there. And the idea is so you can actually follow me. I'm not going to read a book. I'm going to give you slides, and I'm going to show you, maybe how my mind works. It's all about simplifying things. And as I say there, I've always been intrigued by the power of simplicity. There's something magic and beautiful about simplifying things, because it's only when you understand things that you can simplify this. At school, obviously, as you can read there, I always try to break down, complicated issues into different components. And as you see at the bottom there, it's become second nature to me. I see acronyms and word codes in almost everything. Sometimes I use words, I transpose them. I reverse the words. Ek draai die woorde om en dan kyk ek of dit miskien iets anders kan beteken. Now look at this word cope, for example. We all know it's about coping. I mean, somebody asks you, are you coping? They're obviously asking you whether you're not coping when they say that, because you don't normally ask somebody, are you coping, if they do. It's when you see they are battling with something, you ask them, are you coping? Meaning I can help you, or maybe I can see you anxious. And this gave me the idea of maybe, what does it stand for? Exact perception of capacity, or erroneous perception of capacity. Sometimes we do not feel we have the capacity to do things. So we get anxious, but it's because our thinking is wrong. Ons sit baie druk op onsself soms as ons dink ons kan nie cope nie. In die tussentyd kan ons cope. Daar's 'n stemmetjie op ons skouer wat vir ons sê, maar hoor jy kan nie cope nie. Jy cope nie met hierdie probleem nie. En as jy op die regte manier oor jouself dink, dan sal jy agterkom, maar weet jy wat, ek het die vertroue, ek kan dit doen. So it's all a matter of whether you have the exact perception of capacity or an erroneous perception of capacity. So just changing the angle of the word sometimes, or sometimes just walk away and look at the problem from a different angle. It will help you to understand maybe, or see something you never saw before. Now, Edward de Bono, as I said, the father of lateral thinking, made some great statements. I will give you one or two examples. As I said, this 2-inch book that somebody gave me many years ago, which I read, they actually gave me the book and said, well, here's the book. I said, well, did you buy it for me? He said, no, I bought it for myself. I don't understand what it means, but maybe you can find something in there and then tell me what it means. It's a good friend of mine. So I then said, okay, let me read it. And I basically scanned it and came to the amazing conclusion that all this guy is trying to say, very clever gentleman, he's written many books, you must go and Google him, Edward de Bono. He basically said, we actually have the capacity to do things. And he actually makes the statement, he says, the purpose of thinking is not to think. Now that doesn't sound right. When we say the purpose of thinking is not to think, I mean, it's quite ridiculous to say this, but then he takes the example of Michael Jordan, the NBA, I mean, everybody knows who Michael Jordan is, or was. He's still around, actually. He basically is so fleet-footed. He moves around and he scores basketball goals, but he doesn't think about each step. He basically asks himself, he just goes towards the goal, he trusts his instincts, and then it's a matter of just free-flowing and doing what you think that you have the ability to do. And it's all about confidence. We'll talk about that later. So when you start thinking about it that way, the purpose of thinking is not to overanalyze every step and get yourself trapped, but just to follow your instincts. This is when you get to something very simple. And Edward de Bono said, well, if you want to use simplification, simplifying things, to make it simple, maybe we should get a shorter word. Now, the word was first used in 1903, for example. There are some urban and slang usage of it at the moment, which has got a different meaning. But SIMP, if you go and look up in the dictionary, you'll find many unflattering meanings of it. It means an idiot, a fool. But that was not the original meaning. It basically means somebody who hasn't got the ability or doesn't need the ability to reason. So I'm saying, when you look at the verb or a werkwoord, as jy 'n werkwoord maak van hierdie woord SIMP, like Edward de Bono has done, he basically says all you need to do is just SIMP. And I actually, a few years ago, it was my motto right through the year. I'm going to SIMP my life. And you will see it starts with your finances. So what we're saying is the easiest place to start to simplify your life is looking at your finances. I'm going to say something about that later. So please do not try and start with a difficult area in your life. Start with your finances. I know that's difficult enough, but the advantage of working with your finances is you can see your money disappear. And then you can, I mean, there's a consequence to everything you do when the cause and effect. So that's what I'm trying to say about simping. So it's not the negative words. And I just say there, let's start with security. Insecurity, and you will relate to this. Insecurity or uncertainty is the biggest challenge I think and it will probably be the most difficult thing that we face the rest of our lives. I'm saying it is there. It's like a default mode. It is there by birth. It will be there at death, unless we find the antidote in time. We have to overcome this entrenched trait as a prerequisite to ever finding lasting happiness. Ek sal so ver gaan om te sê dat as jy nog nie die kwessie uitgesorteer het van sekuriteit in jou lewe en waar jy sekuriteit kry nie, dan sal jy agterkom, jy gaan rondhardloop en jy gaan altyd vra. Nou ons weet universiteite is plekke waar mense vir die waarheid soek. Universities are the place people looking for the truth. And the truth basically says, let's look at your security. Now, if you go and read there, it says it stems from the fact that we are naked at birth and do our best to clothe ourselves to hide our perceived nakedness. At great expense thereafter, we feel exposed to so many. We live in fear and anxiety for the best part of our lives. Everybody tries to deal with it differently, but we all try to hide it or cover it up. It's all, nakedness, covering up. It's all about what you use to cover up your anxiety, your weak self-esteem, instead of dealing with the root cause, which I believe is insecurity. So I've just marked a few items which I can highlight. Do you recall or have you ever heard the Tom Jones popular hit song? I mean, in the 1970s, for you are old enough, it says, without love, there is nothing at all. Or I am nothing at all. As a matter of fact, there is nothing at all as well there. But if you think about the term love, God is love. I mean, we all know this. Now, I'm not talking religion here. I'm not preaching. All I'm saying to you, I'm obviously a follower of Jesus Christ. I know who God is. I read the Bible, understand it, but I don't blame anybody for, they got a different God maybe, but the question is that the originating cause of their lasting happiness? Because the originating cause of your happiness is your God. And that's why, and I'm going to say this in a strange way, if golf makes you happy, and it always makes you happy, then golf could be your God. Now, I'm not a golfer, but all I'm saying to you, you put in there what you want. So when I think of God, I think of Jesus, I think of my faith life. I'm talking about my spiritual life. And we should never make the mistake of divorcing, separating our God from our finances, for example, or our God from our spirituality, or your finances from your spirituality. I've got a slide in there which will remind you a little bit later. It is so important to not put your life in different divisions and boxes. You know, like, for example, in the old days, they used to have at Dion, they were talking about home, work, and play. You knew exactly where you're going when you go to the home section, and you don't expect work or sport equipment there. So it's a matter of undividing or basically taking the divisions in your life away. And then if you say God personifies love in your life, He's the originating cause. He's not just something you drag along. He's the originating cause or the lasting cause of your happiness. Then everything sort of falls in place. Now, I've coined a word in another book, What Takes Away Your Peace of Mind? And I say everything else we can refer to as a happy nature or an unhappy nature. So, I mean, say, for example, I serve God, He's my originating cause. I serve Jesus Christ, He's my life. I read the Bible, I apply it in my life. Then, obviously, you do the same on your side. Then there are things in life that makes you happy. Other than, obviously, the lasting happiness that God gives you, which you find in Him. We're talking, let's use the word example of golf. We put the ball in the hole at the right time. That's a happy nature. But if you miss it, it becomes an unhappy nature. So we got lots of things like that which makes us happy, and some things are unhappy. Golf will never be the originating cause of my unhappiness, even though I don't play it, because I know what it's all about. So I've got an abbreviation there, which is the title of a book I wrote. What takes away your peace of mind? And there you go. It's all about fear, uncertainty, and insecurity. If you go and analyze your life and see what you are battling with, you will see it's always surrounded by fear. There's an uncertainty, it's insecurity. And I want to leave with you, basically finishing off on security is, what is that thing that makes you unhappy? Or what takes away your peace of mind? There are a million and one things. If you list them, you will be surprised. They have the same source. It's all about, I don't know how it's going to work out. As ek weet hoe dit gaan uiteindelik uitwerk, dan veroorsaak dit vertroue in my, confidence. I don't get bogged down, I move forward. But if you are always thinking about, the uncertainty of how it's going to work out, have I got the capacity to cope with it or not? That is what takes our peace of mind away. So something I've discovered is that we spend a lot of money on buying ourselves security. That's why we take out insurance. Ons spandeer baie geld op versekering, short-term and long-term insurance. We're talking about medical insurance. It gives you a lot of or more certainty these days, if in the COVID situation we are at the moment. If you have got a medical aid, if something could happen, at least they are going to look after you. Because we all have needs, and we need to have security in knowing that we will fulfill our dream. We mustn't get bogged down, say it doesn't happen. Maybe I've got a disease which is going to terminate my life. But sometimes it's not as bad as that. We just think, well, we're never going to get through this day. Ek het nie die vertroue om hierdie dag my taak af te handel nie. I've got to do a budget. I've got to do a work. I've got to do due to my workload, I've got to get myself to give myself deadlines, and I'm never going to fit everything in. So if you knew that you are going to fit in all the work, and you should prioritize your life, then obviously you will discover that you got more confidence and you will concentrate better on what you're doing. I wrote there, we all value our lives and dream about or strive for and work towards success. A healthy, free-flowing life and success along the way makes us feel good. We are not comfortable with troubles, illness, failure, yet we have to live with them despite great strides made by science. So we got to live with this. It's not going to go away. So peace of mind is something we experience in the present moment, in the here and now of our lives. Healthy psychological functioning, they call that HPF. If the psychologists talk about that, is when you are living in the present moment. Don't always run into the future and don't always think about the past. It's just something I came up with. If you look at the word if in life is a thing that takes people's joy away. It's all about insecurity. And, I always say, what if? Well, if you take the insecurity and the uncertainty out of your life and you address what makes you happy, the originating cause of your life or your happiness, what secures you and what gives you security? Is it the Bible? Is it the Quran? Is it something else? Is it maybe something you've written yourself? Is that the thing that works for you? Well, then keep on using it. That what if thing is a thing that causes us problems. So I would say the F is obviously the word I would actually use for fear. F. The F stands for fear. So in order to feel good and satisfied and happy, we need security, certainty in our relationships, our emotional security. You say, but I know these things. No, we don't. We actually feel it every day, but we don't. If you sit down and write it down and say, well, my first problem is I do not feel secure about my life. And why am I not feeling secure about my life? Why do I always worry about what if situations? You would have addressed, I believe, the main cause that makes you unhappy. So I'm writing there, I'm saying you need to get confidence in your relationships, your emotional security, your job security. We know what's happening now, 30% plus. They say 30, I think it's 40% is the unemployment figure in South Africa at the moment. Food security, if you know you're going to have food. If you've got physical security, just think about how much money you spend on feeling secure. You go to Chubb or whatever, all these other security companies to give you security. But I think the one we always stumble across is the financial security. We don't feel we have enough money to make us until the age of retirement, or maybe even next month. Forget about retirement now. So if you have stability in your finances, you feel physically secured. Obviously, that's where it starts. You know you got a job. You know you are emotionally secure. You know there is God. You know you start trusting yourself. You're working free-flowing. You don't always analyze and query every step that you take. Sometimes we don't even, I've discovered it this week. I said to Leonie, I go to bed, I feel so happy. The next morning, the same thing bothers me, and you got to basically address it. So it's not like I make a decision now. It's like a very liquid situation. Security comes by going to your anchors. There must be security anchors in your life. And I think in the middle there, that thing, if only we could know that things will work out okay, we would stop worrying and fretting about it. So the first stumbling block to simplifying our lives is to address this issue of uncertainty. Look at this. I'm just saying here, let me furnish some elementary proof of how insecurity and uncertainty and fear have come to dominate our modern lives. How much of your monthly disposable income are you spending on all your insurance and security requirements? This includes your medical insurance. You can carry on with this list. Short-term asset, your motor vehicle, obviously, and your house and your jewelry, if you have. Public liability insurance, indemnity insurance, loss of profits if you've got a business, earnings insurance, protection of income, vacation insurance. We even do that. You go to RCI, you make sure, like COVID, it came, and now what happens to my points? Silly things like that. UIF, that's a big thing. People add UIF. I saw the other day that some businesses paid 10 Rand for pandemic insurance. They got paid out 400,000 Rand the other day. Crazy if we knew that. protection of income, vacation insurance, unemployment, as I say, long-term life insurance. I mean, if I can make it maybe to 60 or 65 or 80, I will have retirement annuities or retirement assurance, as well as other safety and security payments not specifically mentioned yet. This is why insurance industry overall is such big business. This is why we are all prepared to spend so much. I don't know how much you're spending on your insurance, but I promise you it's probably a third of what you earn. And obviously, if you earn 100,000 Rand a month, maybe it's less, but we are very worried about losing our income. So what are we saying? People feel financially insecure and need assurance and comfort for the present moment and futures. In exchange for this, they are willing to spend maybe up to 50% of their monthly. So I think my point is made now. Security is one of the biggest issues we never address. We think it's all about sport. We think about going to church. We're thinking about going to work every day. But all those things have a lot to do with addressing your uncertainty. So if I have to ask you today, what takes away your peace of mind, and you didn't know it, you would think maybe it's, I didn't get my money on time. Well, that's just part of it. That's an unhappiness. But when it comes to your security, and you could say, well, I know God has provided for me up to now. That is a different kettle of fish. So I wrote here, but where do we get security? I mean, interesting thing is scientists acknowledge that science is based on uncertainty. It was a shock to me a few years ago when I discovered that even science is based on uncertainty. Just in case someone else discovers something that might refute or amend your past findings or formulas. So nothing can ever be certain. This is the anomaly of life. You could be as certain as anything about everything, and then you will find just one phone call, and you start hesitating and you're uncertain. So let me conclude by saying true love is the foundation of security. That's why you have relationships. And the source of happiness, well, God is love. So, and he's the foundation of security. He holds the future in his hands. I mean, we sing the song, he holds the world in his hands. That is why he is the originating cause of happiness. Nobody and nothing else has the ability to, or the capacity to guarantee, tomorrows in our case. So that's very simple. I'm leaving it to you to think about it, but let me just say this. If you leave God out of the equation of your happiness formula, something will happen which is frightening, because you'll have to find some other center of your life. Let me just now, just reiterate. Security is the first letter in the word SIMP, which I believe you need to address if you want to simplify your life and if you want to get a handle on it. You've got to get yourself security anchors, address them, and then affirm them. I mean, you know what the JSE stands for. It's Johannesburg Stock Exchange, Securities Exchange. We all know why that is important. That's where our money is, whether you've got an insurance policy or whether you bought shares. That's where your security lies. But I've got something else which I want to say. If you just change that, for example, and remember, I'm not punting. I mean, I don't apologize for this, but I mean, my life is revolving around Jesus. So I'm saying, well, if Jesus is my God, or at least he's, third person or second person of the Godhead, and I build my life around it, I will think about what it means in my personal life. He will also give me security. It's a matter of looking at Romans 8. There are a couple of verses there. If you go and read it, in Afrikaans it says, want ek is versekerd dat niks my sal kan skei van die liefde van God wat daar in Jesus Christus is. So the love of God secures you. And if it's something else, make sure it is a winner compared to what I've just said. That now look at the wheel. I call it the wheel of happiness. The wheel of happiness starts with God. Your God, my God. It's the person or the thing that your life revolves around. Now, just see where it starts. It starts with from the center, there's an arrow, which means that God gives you love. I mean, you see the arrows there. God, He's the source of your life. He loves you, you love Him. And then it starts, the cycle goes clockwise. You will, interestingly enough, you will start feeling security. You will feel secure. Jy sal veilig voel. You will know if there's a problem, I can handle it. Because the cope thing it will be, I've got the capacity of meeting my needs. Cope. Security. That will give you peace of mind. Remember, the wheel goes clockwise. You will feel free. You will feel I don't have to worry about certain things, and you will sense happiness. You don't have to eat a lot of chocolate, like some people do. And I know people, women specifically love chocolates, but some of us eat chocolates as well to give us that that thing that gives us something to go on to. I mean, the other day we were sitting here, and my wife said, "We got to buy some chocolates." We were locked down here in Jeffreys Bay, and she said, I don't want to actually eat chocolate, but we got to buy chocolates now. I think we need that that thing that gives us that perks us up. So that's the happiness thing. And then obviously from there it flows, and you'll see the arrows start going in towards God. From the love and security, the peace of mind, and the happiness and the freedom He gives you, you will start saying thank you for every moment of every day, every need that he actually meets with. So you'll start saying thank you. The arrows go towards God. You start singing His high praises. You can sing a song. You start seeing things in a different light. And that is the purpose of life, pleasing God. So I wanted to just share that with you. If we have a lot of time, we could actually, I saw we just spent half an hour on that one. But I mean, there are a lot of introductory things which obviously will build the foundation for moving forward. But it's all about God. It's all about love. Don't let anybody tell you it's money. I know, and it's not a story. It's a fact of life. We think that money makes the world go round, but it's actually God that gives us all these wonderful things. We're talking security, not only financial security. We're talking about relationships. We're talking about your health. Not the medical aid. It's not discovery or something else. It's all about God giving you the security that you know that when you pray, He will answer your questions, and He will answer your prayers. That gives you peace of mind. It makes you happy. You start saying thank you, and you start praising Him, and then you suddenly find your life becomes a song. But I mean, you fill in the blanks there. Everybody's got their own angle to it. Is there maybe a question? Let me just ask: is anybody got one question? Or maybe you want me to highlight something which I've said. Yeah. Iemand 'n vraag daar? Nothing. Okay, great. So let's move to the I, identity. Now, I've got a definition which I wrote there, which really sums it up. Remember, we are trying to simplify our lives now. We are looking at the S. We got the security sorted out. We know we got to address it. Now, look at this. We all know, we all got an ID book. We're all over 16 or 18. I don't know when you get your ID book these days. The definition of identity is who you are, the way you think about yourself, the way you are viewed by the world, and the characteristics that define you. Examples of identity are, for example, your ID, the ID number, your passport. But you know, and I know this is not you. I mean, if I ask you for your ID book or your passport, I still don't know who you are. I can maybe identify you by way of a photo, but the interesting thing is, how about other people perceiving ourselves to be seen by other people in a different light? We actually think they sometimes think we are as wonderful as we think we are. Now, let's just look at this. From this consciousness or this vantage point, as jy van hierdie oog uit hierdie oogpunt uitsig punt kyk, dan ondervind jy dat die hele wêreld rondom jou, die aarde en alles rondom jou, en ek weet nie wat is die ander dinge wat ons dan praat nie, maar ons praat van sigbare en onsigbare dinge. These things perceive you maybe in a different light to the way you see yourself. It's critically important that you know who you are. Now, this is not grade 3, I know. We all, we're aged, we know we are, so we think. But the point is, do other people know who you are? Because they identify you with what they see. If you, for example, drink a lot and you're a drunkard, and people associate you with always being drunk, that will be their idea of you. You're a drunkard. Maybe you got a very high IQ, but it still doesn't mean they perceive you to be the person that you think you are, because they see it differently. So I'm saying it's critically important that you know who you are. Everything is dependent on this. The I in SIMP is very important. We even refer to ourselves as I. So the I stands for identity. It also stands for integrity. You know, when you act in a certain way, people identify you with what you say, not what you say you're doing, but what you are doing. So if you get it right, you will act with confidence and assurance. Back to assurance again. Remember, confidence stems from certainty, security, assurance. You got the confidence, Afrikaans vertroue, the self-vertroue. If you don't, you will experience insecurity and act indecisively. So it's also important to know your abilities, what you've got, what you're capable of, and what not. It's a very dangerous thing, I mean, for me to get involved in opening a motor car's, you know, bonnet and try and, I mean, I don't know what I'm doing there, but we are always doing this with life. We get involved with things that we never understand, and that's when we get found out. So you got to know what your talents are, because if you know what they are and your strengths, other people will also see who you are if you concentrate on those skills, your strengths and your weaknesses. If you don't, you will have a weak self-esteem and project yourself less confidently to others. On the other hand, you might falsely represent yourself to others as having abilities that you do not have. You need to take time to discover yourself. You can't take yourself on a holiday if somebody allows you to do that. Take a day out, a time out. You know, take a week or take a couple of hours, and be honest with yourself. Write your stories down. Write your thoughts down. We should act congruently. I mean, everything needs to, you know, go in the same direction with what we are and what we can do. And this is something I've discovered. It's a lifelong journey of self-discovery. You know, you think you can do certain things, and then somebody proves you can't. Or maybe you get older and you find you've actually lost those skills. And maybe you discover new skills. So what I'm saying is the I in identity and in, you know, integrity is so important. Otherwise, you will never be able to apply the M, which we're going to get to in a minute. You know, the M of SIMP. So what am I saying? We were talking about security. I mean, at the end of the day, when you go away from the time that you've invested with me in this Zoominar, is basically why am I doing what I'm doing? Is it to portray myself as a winner? Do people see me as a winner? Do we, in fact, realize that the things we do identify us? It's not just our ID book, which we hand to somebody, or our passport book, which we hand to somebody at, you know, the passport gate. We don't walk around with our ID photos, but the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you do, the way you keep your promises, the way you don't keep your promises, actually make people think that you are, you know, a guy of one, you know, integrity-wise, you're a guy who does what, or a girl who does what you say you're going to do, and your value system. So your value system comes out in how you act. These are not new things. I'm just putting them in a different perspective and show you how important they are It's not just a question of, okay, well, I know I am and nobody else, everybody else got a foot put up with us. No, we got to actually make certain you are not what you own or possess. Neither are you your career or your job or your qualifications. I mean, we know what the Japanese do. They commit suicide, for example, if they lose their jobs. If they feel they cannot look after their family, they feel like they're useless. Well, that's not how it's supposed to be. You are not your job. If you had some failures, I mean, we know Richard Branson, Trump. Well, he's a success, isn't it? So I'm saying Branson is a different kind of success. So we need to be very careful how we perceive ourselves. We identify ourselves with what we do and how we follow through on these things. You might be identified by these things, but your identity is completely separate from these things. These things are attached to you or associated with you. You are not them. Here's the bottom line. I'm going to try, and I told you, just like you, for example, have Facebook. Let me just say this. I'm not really, I'm registered with Facebook, but I don't go there. I mean, I've got other things to do. But Facebook has been called fake book. It's been called face thing. All I'm saying to you is think about Facebook and put in the word fame book there, or fortune book. Ask yourself, is this the identity you are trying to portray, that you want to be famous, or maybe working towards that? Or are you actually accessible? Do people know they can talk to you? They don't have to have lots of money to make an appointment with you. Now, your identity, I'll put the word I between F and the B there. The face or the fortune or the fame, that just make sure that you understand that it identifies you. So call it the FIB book, the Facebook identity book. That is what you want to actually present people, that they know you're not just body bigger or something bigger. Now, I wrote the bottom line. My identity, for example, is easy. I hope it comes out in what I say and what I do. Sometimes I do strike a bad chord. But my identity is in Jesus Christ. I identify with him. I identify with his words, his sayings, his truths. He's come through for me on every occasion when I trusted him over almost 50 years. I mean, yesterday was I was 48 years since I gave my heart to the Lord, exactly, actually the 25th. So this is why, I mean, I'm bold about it, and I believe we all need to be bold about what we believe. I have security. I have assurance, not only financially, but spiritually, which is big, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, but of course also economically. When I think of, the decisions I've made, I made some mistakes, but I learned a lot, which are embedded in the Bible. So I'm writing here, he has met and is still meeting all my security needs, mentioned in part 1 of this book. So when I talked about security, I think Jesus, I think Bible, I think what I've learned and how I applied it and whether it works. If something doesn't work, why do you carry on with it? A guy that went to college with me, Smiley, he actually had an interesting and to the point slogan. He said, if your religion doesn't change you, why don't you change your religion? Now, that's what I'm trying to say to you. But remember, even though I am identifying with Christ, even though I believe, I'm going to live eternally, I still live today, and I have to manage myself and my finances. It's no use, the old story of being so heavenly minded, you're no earthly good. But help me, look met jou kop daar in die wolke rond die hele tyd. And I've got all these things, and I can do these impossible things, and you misbehaving and messing up your marriage, or your relationships, or you default at the bank with making your next payment. So I believe there's a partnership between God and myself. I have to manage the working capital. The working capital is money, time, energy, intellect, and all these things that God gives you. So the resources of money, time, energy, talents, and skill. God has given these things to me. I mean, if people believe in evolution, that's fine. But I mean, find the guy or the God who gave it to you. He has entrusted me with these things as steward, and he's the owner of everything. So Psalm 24:1 says he is. God said it, I believe it. I mean, many years ago, I think I was 20 years old, I saw this and I loved it. It said, God said it, I believe it, and that settles it for me. So you get, you know, this is what this book is about, simping or thinking. And remember what Edward Abono said. He said, the purpose of thinking is not to think. So when you get it right, you got these foundations. There are 4 of them, 4 cornerstones. And you say to yourself, why do I feel so doubtful about my capacity? I tried to get it right earlier when I was reading that paragraph. Coping means I cope. And it's either, if you reverse it, you're either coping or you're not. And it's because you are erroneously thinking about your capacity of perception, or you have the exact perception of capacity. So you actually, I know what I can do because I know my skills. Take time, get to know yourself. So I'm saying, let's put the I in identity back in its proper place, subject to the understanding that God has created us. We need to glorify Him through our lives of a handful of years. This is the I in SIMP. I also find that's the I in testimony. I actually, if you take the word testimony, for example, you can break it down to test -I-money. And you spell money, put the E between the M and the Y at the back there, and you find that God tests you with money, but you are in the middle of it. If you pass, He will give you more. So I actually went so far as a matter of fact, it is the I in testimony, where we are tested with money about our testimony, our witness, our story about God, about ourselves, whom we trust and believe in. And I mean, 86,400, we all know 24/7. 86,400 you find when you multiply every minute or every hour by minutes and then seconds. 86,400 seconds. So I even use the word image. Just look at that. The word image. I know it's image, but we're trying to portray an image fakely by saying I'm a doctor or I'm a very qualified person. Let me try and work towards the end of this talking point. If you look at this formula, you will see a very simple formula for you to calculate your worth. The PW stands for personal worth. The NW you know all about. It's about net worth, nettowaarde. And the SW stands for self-worth. Now, I'm saying if you want to calculate your worth, because it's always connected to your identity. Remember, we always, when we think about ourselves, we think of, you know, I'm not insolvent, you know, I've paid my bills, you know, people can't take me to jail and things like that. If you start thinking about your value, not only in terms of money, but self-worth, you know, your value in society, or maybe your value to your family. Don't always think about the value in terms of rands and cents or dollars. Think about your self-worth. God gives you, He's given you a self-worth, which means it's not the value that you place or other people place on you, but that what you think you are worth. If you got all the opportunities of your lifetime, if you got them all together and you didn't, your mouth didn't go dry when you had to stand on the stage, or somebody said, well, give me your contribution, and you didn't go nervous, then people would see, well, wait a minute, you know, you got something to say, you got a contribution to make. So what I'm saying is your self-worth is not financial. Net worth is 2 million minus a million worth of liabilities. Your net worth is a R1 million. But when it comes to your self-worth, you determine what that self-worth is worth. I mean, you've got talents. If you identified yourself, if you know who you are, if you start thinking about yourself in a different vein and say, well, I'm not useless. I've got skills. I have a right. I mean, go and read the Constitution. You got rights. If you start valuing yourself like you should, your personal worth will always be much more than your financial value. Your financial, you could be bankrupt actually. I mean, lots of people went, they lost everything and they came out and then they discovered that they are worth much more than what the bank statement or the statement of assets and liabilities said. I've got a very simple way of looking at this. I say to myself, okay, right, if I want to increase my personal worth, which is my self-worth, not what other people think I'm worth, but what I know I'm worth, if people gave me an opportunity and I didn't become nervous when I had to perform, there are two ways of pushing up the value of PW. I mean, look at this. The easy one is the net worth. Just pay your debts off as soon as possible. Pay your debts off. If you have got debt, I mean, you're actually better off to have no assets and no liabilities than having a lot of assets and it doesn't belong to you because you could lose all of it. So look at your balance sheet. And I actually say so, yeah. I say, well, bottom line there, net worth, how do you improve it? Debt less. Romans 13:8 says, oh, no man anything. So it's even a biblical principle. From a self-worth point of view, the less you think about yourself, the more you will become valuable and usable. Self-worth, you've got to die for yourself. You've got to, I mean, how do you do this? I've given you the clue there. If you know the Bible, says, I've got to die. Ek leef nie meer nie, maar Jesus Christus leef in my. So basically, you've got to actually not think as much of yourself as you sometimes think, because people, you know, they put you down and you don't have to believe them either. So the main thing here is, if you want to work on the value, on your personal value, remember we're talking identity and the value attached to you, you've got to start thinking in terms of paying off your debt as soon as possible. If you've got assets, work on your debts, don't postpone it, pay it off as soon as possible. Even 10% makes a difference. And then obviously your self-worth is something we always work on. But the important thing is to understand that it's not about you, it's about who your God is. Are there any questions there? I know we're moving on. I think we have a few minutes left on this segment, but I'm going to probably use it in the next one. Unless and until you discover who you are and what makes you tick, you will never be able to manage your money or be able to work with this scarce commodity. People think money management starts when you got the money in the banking account at the end of the month. Not true. Long before, I mean, we don't even count the notes like we used to in the old days. You actually got the money physically, then they became, you put the money in the banking account with a check. Then later you got internet money. Most of you never saw your money for a long time. As a matter of fact, the reason why you don't see them is because you haven't got any, somebody's taken it out already out of your banking account. So, of course, that's a challenge. So the main thing is, keep in mind that money management does not start with when the money finds its way into your banking account. It's all about how you think about it. You must, if you think right about your money, you will be able to manage your money better. And remember, we started with security, thinking correctly about yourself, knowing who you are, your identity. And now we're saying, yeah, unless and until you discover who you are, how secured you are, in other words, who you are, your identity-wise, what makes you tick, you will never be able. So Management is exactly what, this is a word I coined in 2000, registered as a trademark. Management is the art of managing yourself and your money. That's as simple as that. It says so, yeah. And it is the art of managing yourself and your money. And I'm going to surprise you by giving you this insight as well. I actually thought about it recently. Because we are using money as the example of how you manage your resources. Remember, you're managing your time as well. You're managing your energy. You're managing your opportunities. And it's all to do with how you manage yourself. So if you manage your money correctly, you will find it has a knock-on effect in every area of your life. You'll be more disciplined. You'll think, you won't waste unnecessary time. And if you do, you will do it deliberately, I mean, with purpose. So money is a language. I will never forget when I was at varsity, somebody said, you know, they don't understand why financial management or BCom, CA and these things, why they are registered under the, under the Faculty of Commerce. They reckon it should have been under the BA section because it is a language. It's a Bachelor of Arts. Money is a language. It talks. We need to learn to speak its language. But first, we need to understand what it says. That is why management is an art. It belongs to the Faculty of Arts. It is a language or a communication or management skill we can all acquire and learn to speak fluently. Money talks to us and says something about us. The many currencies in the world are but different dialects of money talk. That's how I would put it. So if you look at yen, pound, whatever, rands, different dialects, but it talks about you. It actually talks about your personality. It talks about how you present yourself. It talks about your identity. I'm really talking about your security and identity again. But now, I'm saying management comprises many building blocks or different components. It's based on one single or simple foundation, your identity. People don't see it this way when they flog their money. Or just give it away, but they hoard it. Because, I mean, if you hoard your money, you're obviously a miser. If you dish it out, you're obviously, you're a generous person. But if you just lose it, I mean, you're obviously reckless. If you do not know who you are, you will always pivot around money, possessions and things in order to find the center of your identity and security and purpose. You'll see I said a lot of things in that paragraph because I'm talking about security, identity, management, and I'm going to get to purpose in a minute as well. I'm saying there is a new thought system, and it's worked for me for many years, probably 22 years now since I started thinking about this. And you must think about yourself before you talk money. Now, there's something which I just recently discovered. As recently as 2000, I actually wrote 2004, I wrote it in a book, management book. But it only come home to me in the last few years that there is a need, an absolute need to harmonize your financial philosophy and your spiritual beliefs. Money isn't something we're just, detached from you. I know it shouldn't be attached to you either, but you can't work with your money if you just look at it as hard currency or your possessions standing aside, attached or detached from you, as a matter of fact. You've got to harmonize. So there's got to be a consistency. Dit moet congruent wees met jou geldsaake, moet consequent wees met jou geestelike geloofsoortuigings. And that's what I'm saying we should have a look at. I'm going to do something now which is quite crazy, but just how when you start thinking about it, how you discover things. The word money as a DNA code. Remember, I said to you earlier, or I wrote there the introduction, that I looked at the DNA of words. There are codes embedded. Now, this is one example. Money, actually, if you break it down, it's got an M hyphen 1 hyphen Y. It constantly asks a very simple and seeming like a rhetoric question. Okay, nobody has to answer it. But the question is, what is more important to you? Now, I'm going to apply my faith again. You do your same on your side. What is more important? What is number one, so to speak, in your life? Money or you? If money is more important to you than yourself, you will probably find out that you're pivoting that direction towards money. If you are more important than money, then you probably identified who you are, and then money becomes a commodity. It hasn't got a soul. So I'm saying, even in Matthew 6:24, Jesus says there are dangers in serving two masters. No one can serve two masters, for either you will hate the one, love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon, which is money. So money competes with Jesus Christ for the first place in your life. Crown Financial Ministries said it many years ago, and I agree with that. Money challenges your life, and I continually, incessantly find out who is number one in your life, Mammon or Yahweh. Yahweh is the form of the Hebrew name of God, for example. I mean, the Jews, they refer to as Yahweh, and we obviously as well, if you dig deeper. It's all about your God and your goal. That's what M1Y actually asks you all the time, money. I know it's quite a thing to say, but look at this. It's all about your God and your goal. Who do you pivot towards, Mammon or Yahweh? That's what the Y stands for, money or me. Management is the art of managing yourself and your money in such a way that you always remain true to yourself and your spiritual beliefs on your journey to accomplish your life purpose. We mustn't make the mistake of not figuring this one out. There's a fork in the road. You can only choose one. You go left or you go right, or what left. And you must not divorce your thinking about money from yourself or God or your God, because there is a spiritual connection. That's why if you don't, it becomes something which is a commodity. You just give it away, you waste it. In the meantime, it's actually the accumulation of the value of your hard work. I mean, if you worked hard, why should you just waste it? There's another way to portray it. It's Lord Jesus or Lord Money. I mean, it sounds terrible when you say that. It almost sounds like blasphemy. There's one last look at it. You can only choose one. 24 little components. I'm going to read through them, and I'm going to actually then discuss one or two of them before I conclude this section. You gotta know that you and I, we are not different. We are always trying to increase our value. I told you that when I talked to you about personal worth equals self-worth plus net worth. We constantly try and increase our value. It could be by way of fame, showing people how important we are. It could be because of the car we drive, or the important qualification we have. It's a constant journey or quest for getting worth more. So I'm saying, remember, debt less, die more. I told you that. Getting the formula right is important. Your most valuable asset, which is you, is PW equals SW plus NW. I told you that. Reputation capital, interesting word. We talk about fame. Your reputation capital is who you are and how you conduct yourself, your integrity, your testimony. Don't underestimate that, because if you lose that, you will find it's very difficult to get it back. Don't lie, don't give false promises. Rather say nothing than to throw your reputation away. Your financial philosophy, I touched on that earlier. The way you think. Remember, philosophy is the love of wisdom. That's what philosophia means. It's two Greek words. Philosophy is the love of wisdom. Now you must look at the way you think about life, and then try and harmonize it with your religious beliefs. Don't think about it separately. I always use the example on Sunday. You're in church. You serve God and you think all kinds. I mean, these days we actually we sit at home and we're on the internet when we want to follow a sermon. The problem is you are so challenged to go and stand at the back of the queue and say, well, I'm going to be humble. I'm going to give somebody else a chance. Humility comes through, and you discover you've got to stand back and give everybody else a chance to do their thing. That's what the Bible teaches us, not to think more of yourself than you should. But then when you get Monday, when you get to work, there's no standing at the back, because if you don't stand at the front, you'll probably find out you're going to lose the opportunity, or you're not going to get the money or the job. So you got to sell yourself. So it's a matter of harmonizing these two things, because you will be trapped in the middle. If you always let people go in front of you, whereas you might have been, it's important for you to speak up and be at the front of the queue. If you don't do that, you will find yourself like a bit of a schizophrenic. So you got to harmonize. Where do I, what is my financial philosophy, and what is my religious beliefs? What should I do, and balance these things? It's only going to work, it's work for you. So that's important. The fifth item there is fear, greed, and competition. Those are very scary things. I mean, fear drives money. Greed drives money. Go and look at the stock exchange. Competition. If you look at the stock exchange, you'll see they are driven by fear and greed. It's either the one or the other, or a combination. That's what makes the markets go up and down. You've got to look at your money, and you've got to look at your relationships, and you've got to look at your relationship with money all the time. 7, you've got to look at your outlook. How do you view money? You've got to know what real financial freedom is. Real financial freedom isn't how much money you got in the bank. It's a matter of how free you are with the money that you have or you don't have. You've got to be free. Don't always think money. Sometimes you just got to let it go and know that you are the one that are free. Real financial freedom is not freeing up your money, it's freeing up yourself. 9, distinguishing between your needs and your wants. I always say you don't need a Mercedes-Benz or a Ferrari to point B. You need a vehicle. You can look at what you can afford. So your wants and your needs should be sorted out. I'm talking today about simplifying your life. That's what this is about. Simplifying your life. And we are heading towards the end almost, and I'm going to summarize a few things, and you will see where it all makes sense. Remember, we talked security, identity, and we're talking management now. Management is the art of managing yourself and your money. We got to know where the money thieves are. There are all kinds of schemes. Be very careful to put your money in all kinds of things you don't understand. Don't try and make more money by losing all of it. The money thieves, challenging and dealing with them. Are we talking schemes, lotteries, and so on? 12, the truth about debt. We got to understand that debt is a four-letter. Live a free life if you have debt that you always pay interest on. Like in our case, it's like serious trillions we're paying over the years for financing our debt. So be very careful, and debt is a trap. Be very careful about it. Living with debt is something we all have to get used to, because you can't buy your first house in cash or your first car. Living with debt, you've got to manage it. And you've got to know how to get out of debt, how to budget. You've got to become a debt-free person. You've got to live debt-free living. And there's always, and I'm at number 60 now, there are rules. Remember, everything has got rules. Money has got rules as well. It can talk. It will actually talk you down if you don't be careful, because if you're not being careful. So money rules. I always say money will rule over you until you discover the money rules. 2 minus 3 is not 1. It's minus 1. So 1 minus 2 is not 0. It's minus. That's when you get behind the cycle. So be very careful. Planning is important. You got to first plan the thing you want to do before you do it, because it will never work out correctly. You can't start building a house without having a plan, architectural plan. So you are the architect of your life and your financial and your personal affairs. I always say there are various cornerstones for quality of life. I'm not going to talk about it now. Quality of life is about purpose and things like that. I also talk about 13 steps to creating your own financial heaven or hell. There are pitfalls, not going to talk about them now. And there are dire consequences of failing to manage your money properly. One of them is bankruptcy. Bankruptcy, yes. You lose your health. You lose your freedom. You discovered the God in your life. You serve Him. You are religious. You are so happy in your personal life, and then they come and take your house away, and you commit suicide, or you find yourself losing your health, worrying all day long about your money. There's also a place in management for forgiveness. I'm talking about that's probably the best way of getting out of debt. Start giving more of yourself, financially as well. It's all about grace and gratitude. There's a big picture which we don't always see. We wait for other people to actually show us how badly we've done. We got to actually start taking a few steps back and discover our big picture. What does my finances look like? And then obviously the escape route to financial freedom is not to try and hoard as much as possible and make people think you are so much worthier than they are with your balance sheet into the millions or billions. The escape route to financial freedom is to discover who you are, who God is, and then synchronizing yourself with these principles. And then what you do is you start living and enjoying the fruits of your labor. The rewards will always be worth it, because I wrote there in number 24, the rewards for getting it right. Now, let me just quickly run these principles by you now. Let's look at it. Management. It's the art of managing yourself and your money. You'll see I even wrote the word yourself as two separate words, almost like social distancing at the moment. You must try and, if you look at yourself in a different vein today, you look at yourself and you evaluate your life not through the eyes of money only, but you also look at money and you socially distance yourself from money and say, wait a minute, money is a commodity, it's not me. Then you will start seeing a bigger picture. Your eyes will open. I actually show you how I got to the word management. It's a combination of those three words. Money and eye management. You've got to manage your eyes. You've got to manage your desires. Now look at this. There's an Egyptian proverb which I think is so brilliant. I saw it many years ago and it really hit me. It says, the eye is blind to what the mind does not see. So if you do, remember right at the outset, I said money management has got everything to do with your mind, how you think about money and your life and all that. It's about your mindset. Matthew 6:22, Jesus says, if the eye is blind, the whole body will be in darkness. And if the eye is right, you will see differently. Now look at that for a point. The way you think determines the way you see. Your mind's eye, the way you see things are often because you have already had a prejudice. You've already thought about it. And it's like driving through the most beautiful landscape, sitting, talking on your cell phone. You don't see anything. You might even run over pedestrians. And that's what people do. So what I'm saying is the way you think determines the way you see. So start with thinking right. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes on this very simple diagram to show you how you work towards your goals. There are four very distinct components. I call this the inner machinery. The inner machinery we all have, which we don't know about. First of all, we're driving towards your goal. You'll see there are arrows pointing towards your goal. Then on the bottom on the right, you see senses, which are the way you see and hear and experience things. Then you've got a big black box. And then you've got the heart. Now, the big black box is obviously your mind. It's a computer, the way you think about things. Your control center is where I believe it all starts. You'll see there are arrows directing in different, clockwise and anti-clockwise did that deliberately to show you that there are different ways of looking at your goal. The one is to see or read in magazines, view clips, video clips, let people put things in your mind. You see things and you are working towards those goals. Now you can feed your senses by looking at those things, and then the message gets to your mind and you start thinking about it, and then you throw your heart into it. Or you can do it the way I believe automatically happens. You first see the goal with your heart. Then it sends a message to your mind or your brain, and it triggers your resources to go straight to your goal. You don't even use your senses. The senses could be there to just validate the goal that you are actually striving for, or how far you are making progress towards it. But now here's the secret. The reason why I believe this mechanism is so important is, remember, the mind plays a big role in your goals. But your heart is the thing that we need to convince to actually go towards that goal. If your heart isn't in it, you will never get there. But if your heart is in there, you will actually get over every stumbling block on your way towards your goal. There's the story, the fact of the matter is, in the 60s, there was a Russian athlete who was a high jumper. It was a woman. And they asked her, she was the competition record. And she, in fact, was requested to go for an interview afterwards. And they asked her, what are your secrets? Or what is your secret? She says, it's very simple. All I do is I run towards the crossbar and then I throw my heart over it. And everything else happens automatically. So if you have something in your heart, and you can have it in your mind, because remember, the heart instructs. I don't think it works the other way around. Your heart is that organ, is that thing that directs, because you even talk about, giving your heart to the Lord, for example. So your heart actually sees your goal. It's not the eyes of our mind, it's the eyes of our heart. Our heart sees the object or the goal first. That gives an instruction towards your mind, and your mind then takes the money, the time and the energy towards your goal. George Bernard Shaw has made a statement many years ago. He was an Irish playwright. I replaced the word money with debt because I wanted to prove a point. He says the surest way to ruin a man who doesn't know how to handle money is to give him some. Now, isn't that true? If you actually could give all your enemies all the money that you could lay your hands on, they will go away. So what I'm saying is they will create problems for themselves. So that's a sure way of ruining yourself if you don't know how to handle money. That's why management is so important, how to manage your money. And remember, Dr. Phil wrote a book, 10 Life Laws or Strategies. I think he talked about strategic plans in place. And he actually said, you cannot change what you do not acknowledge. So if you do not acknowledge that you have a problem with debt, for example, and I mean, just read that. Debt is the number one obstacle in your real purpose. That's not what Kiyosaki said. He said, no, you've got to actually leverage yourself into debt and then buy property. Well, that worked in America, not here. If you did that, you'll probably be insolvent by now. I'm saying it's the prime thief of your peace of mind and joy. There are 4 things I discovered. If you really are in debt, you will find your happiness suffers most at the end. There won't be money to save, you will not give, and you will definitely not serve God the way you wanted to. So debt is one of the greatest obstacles, if not the, because the root cause of debt hinges around managing yourself. Talked a lot about that this morning. In other words, you've got to look at yourself first. How to simp your life. How do I view myself? How do I think? How do I manage my life? Now look at this. There are 2 curves. There's an upward curve from left to right, moving upwards. That's the money you earn in your life. It goes up and up and up. It's the earnings curve. But then there's another curve which normally goes up and up as well. But you will find if you don't get them to meet each other, you will always be giving all your money away to the banks. I call it the desire curve. There's a desire or a dream curve, and you are actually financing your life by way of debt. So please don't do that to yourself. Debt is a lie. It's deceptive, and it depends on how much you can actually manage. Be very careful that you don't spend more than you should. Remember, we talked about security, identity, and how to manage your money. Management is the art of managing yourself and your money. If you can't manage yourself, you'll never be able to manage money. That's a scary thought. So I wrote here, I discovered a very simple yet effective way of organizing my life around its prime purpose or goal. Remember, we talked about the goal? Maybe let me just do something. I want to show you something interesting. If you look at these goals we were talking about, in that goal area, you can put anything there. All your life goals, as well as how do I put the ball in the hole? If I'm a golfer, how can I? Remember, we're spending a lot of money, time, and energy in putting that money, no, not the money in the hole, the ball in the hole if you play golf. Okay. We're spending a lot of time. So the more you practice and exercise, the more you would be proficient at this. And even look at the word goal. I can tell you what goal stands for. It stands for 4 words, which says, go and live. Go. It's an exclamation mark after the go. Go and live. And I can even put an S behind it. Go and live simpler. So if your goal in life is to be the best father or the best husband or the best wife, you got to learn to live simpler, because that's what this is all about, this Zoominar. Live simpler. Look at yourself, who you are, get security, get confidence. Believe what you're saying and start talking, what you believe other people should see in you. But now here's the point. You could also have, I want to buy a house, I want to build a house, I want to buy a car, I want to get a good qualification. Those could all be your goals. All your money, time, and energy goes in that direction. Okay, remember this when I say this. If that is the purpose of your life, you will get there. But now, how do you plan yourself to reach your goal? I say it always assists me to budget for and control the use of my resources, money, time, and energy, and apply my God-given talents and skills in such a way that I'm always conscious of being accountable for my decisions, actions, and transactions. I've tested and applied this model for over 25 years, my whole life. Successfully passed it on to those I had privilege of presenting seminars or even one-on-one meetings to. This is probably the right place and time to share it with you now. The P stands for pleasing God. It's as simple as that. I can even skip all that and show you what I'm going to talk to you about. Pleasing God should be your main goal. Like you said, okay, well, I want to be the best father. Well, that should be a subtitle to your pleasing God thing. Pleasing God means you shouldn't be promoting yourself. You should promote God's agenda. And obviously, that takes a bit of hard work. It takes, a lot of discipline and spending your waking life more correctly now. Pleasing God. Remember, you are unique. And you should not forget that. You can offer the world something nobody else can. Remember, it's also a universal concept. You've got to have a purpose. I mean, there are books written about it. What am I saying? If you look at your purpose in life, every word I've listed here should support your purpose. Your purpose, whether it is to be the best electrician or the best qualified whatever, the underlying theme should always be there is an eternity. There is an accountability. There is some degree of responsibility I have for my life here. So it must be pleasing God. I can't go maybe some of you do have it, but I wouldn't recommend you go and open a bottle store, for example. And well, it's actually not open at the moment, but don't go and buy yourself a bottle store or worse things that you know is not pleasing to God, which will maybe make you worry at the end of the day. Maybe I didn't actually fulfill my purpose. You have a uniqueness about you. You have design capabilities. You are creating things. You are creative. And everybody has got something. They just need to discover it. Resource management is what it's all about. In order to facilitate your purpose, you have to know that you have got scarce resources. You've got money it's limiting. Time is limiting. You're going to lose your energy at some stage, and you're going to become older. You're going to find that your years are running out. So you're going to manage your time, your money, your energy. I think of all of those, the most difficult to manage is time. We think time is money. It's not. It depends on how much of your time you want to convert to money. Planning is important in this process of reaching your purpose successfully. Remember, success is not how much money or how soon did I get there. Success is, did I get there? Did I reach my goal? And if you don't have goals, how would you know whether you would actually reach anything? Ownership is something which belongs to God. And He's given us time, He's given us life, and you are the owner, but you're actually just the steward. So that's what I'm saying when I say your underlying thinking should always be, I have a purpose. How unique is my purpose to myself? Some people can really make nice food. Maybe that's your purpose in life because you feed us. Some people can make nice potjiekos. Some people can braai very nicely. What is unique to you? Well, you will discover that if you actually look at your track record. I always say, if you want to know who you are, you will discover, for example, if you walk into a factory that makes aeroplanes, and you go through the storehouse where all those parts are kept, you will not get confused and think this is a bicycle shop, and the converse too. So if you went through a place where they manufacture bicycles or assemble them, you will not think this is they're making Boeings here. No. Look at your life. Go through your store of your life. You are manufacturing things. Looking through the talents that have been given to you and attributed to you, and ask yourself, okay, what am I here for? What can I do? Well, I can make people happy by making them laugh. Maybe I can, get closer to them and spend some more time with them. I can just sit there and, eat with them and drink with them. I'm not talking about the bars because I believe that's also causing a problem now with the social distancing. I'm saying spend time with people if that is your, maybe you can make them feel good, talk them up. So ownership, you must take ownership of that. Even though it belongs to God, it's attributed to you, and you are the steward, you're the manager. And it's all about eternity. If you are fulfilling some kind of a purpose, which is going to have no eternal value, that's going to be sad, If you find at the end of the day it's worth nothing. Now, let me show you very briefly how most of our lives are portrayed. Remember, all those little dots there are you at any given stage of the day or the month or the year. You don't know where your life is revolving around. Is it work, sport, studies, money, heroes, friends? You can really, your body, your mind. I'm spending all this time thinking about and dreaming. My religion. I believe we should be multifunctional. You got friends, you got heroes, you got family, I've got sports stars. I watch the sport if it's up there. Maybe they were going to play cricket today and then they postponed that 3T cricket. Who knows? All I'm saying is your life could be very chaotic. This is what it looks like most of the time because we are trying to find our center. We're trying to find our center and all these things at some stage present themselves to you as the ultimate. My body, I need to spend time on my body to lose weight or get bigger muscles. It's not the way to do it. I'm saying, yeah, let me just show you what I've discovered. If you could establish which of these many centers actually anchor your thoughts and your activities, you will be able to identify, back to the word identify, who you are and what the purpose of your life really is. I've now connected your identity and your purpose with your life. Until then, you will continue your frantic and fruitless search for happiness. There we go, happiness. If you have sorted yourself out, your identity, your security, your purpose, and you start managing your money so you don't get phone calls every 5 minutes about drop bills and stuff, you will be more happy. You won't have any unhappiness. Then if you don't get it right, you may die without ever reaching your destination. What is your destination? The goal that you set yourself. Now look at this. This is something I just formulated. You and I are defined by our purpose in life. Our purpose identifies us. Now I've done something differently. I said we were talking about our identity, and I earlier said other people see us differently. Well, they see you the way you portray yourself. I mean, I wouldn't confuse a motor car mechanic with a brain surgeon if I see they're always working on the car. So that's what I'm saying. You portray yourself. We may even say we are identified. It's a word I coined. We are identified by our purpose. The value of a life is determined by its purpose. The purpose gives meaning. So if you lack meaning and you say, well, I'm useless, I'm meaningless, well, it's your fault, because you decided you are meaningless because you didn't identify with anything and you couldn't know, you got no purpose. So if somebody says, my life is useless, it means you got a useless purpose. Get yourself one. So on the other hand, I've stated previously that only a God can make you happy. I play with the words there. It's either God, who I believe universal, who made the universe, planets, me and you, or a God. I mean, the Greeks actually worshipped all these gods, a tree. They worshipped themselves, they worshipped their wives. I mean, look at those sculptures. I mean, amazing. I have discovered that this is true in every sense of the word. Only God can give you peace of mind, or your God. Set your mind at rest. Fulfill your lifelong dreams. So the more you pivot towards God or your God, the more and the quicker you will realize it's working or not. Now, have a look at the diagram I'm going to show you now to see how everything falls into place. If you arrange your life and your resources and activities correctly. Now, let me read that. By choosing to serve God, for example, and you organize your life, you please Him, like I said, should be you pleasing the one, and not yourself or any other person or thing or activity. They don't control you. You'll discover something truly supernatural, something some would call magical. God reciprocating with an unending, fulfilling inner peace and joy that no other person or event could ever bestow upon you. Now, let me show you. If you get it right, everything falls into place. Now, these diagrams I thought up over the years, and Danielle, my eldest daughter, actually, she drew these pictures a few years ago, 8 years or 9 years ago, and it just portrays exactly what I want to let you know. There in the middle of the O of God is the center of my life. And everything else now revolves. There's time for your career, your goals, your possessions, your friends. There's enough time and energy. You can even think religion. You can work, you can dream, you can money. I can talk, I can walk, all those things. Your family. And then at the top you'll find your life and your thoughts just come together. This includes all the resources God, your creator and life partner, has entrusted you with to conduct your life successfully, caring for your loved ones, and those entrusted to you, as well as fulfilling that big, heavenly, audacious goal. Now, BHAG is that big, heavenly, audacious goal. Now, I always say, Behag, we've got to behag God. We've got to, you've got to please God. The Afrikaans is Behag. It's not a place in Denmark. Danie. Sorry, that's funny. Which he had in mind when he created us. Resources include your money, your time, your energy, your intellectual capacity, your opportunities, and all your unique talents and treasures. None of your resources should be wasted or misappropriated. These scarce and limited resources should be carefully managed and applied only to further our behag, okay, and not utilized to further our egos and kingdoms on earth. That was quite a statement. Now, you'll see all those things, the paragraph there, which I haven't got time to speak about now. You defined yourself. You first saw how chaotic your life was, hopefully. And then you make a decision of the world. You say, well, I'm just going to put things in place. I'm going to look at myself. If your life revolves, I'm going to say this, I didn't plan this. If your life revolves around your dog, not your God, well, go and spend all your time and money on him. Take him for walks. Sleep with him. Let him sleep with you. And now I'm concluding. It's getting funny now, and maybe some people won't appreciate it. But to think your journey all started in search of simping your life. Now you know who you are. I've summarized everything there. You know who you are. You've discovered your identity, what drives your purpose, how to manage yourself and your resources, and you are and feel secure. Now, that is the challenge that I'm throwing out to you today. I've applied this for the last 6 months. I wrote this book about 3 months ago. And I said to myself, it's working for me. Instead of thinking about a million things and drilling down in your head and not remembering everything, try and cotton onto this, latch onto this simple formula, simping your life. I want to simp my life. How do I simplify my money affairs? Well, stop making more debt. I wouldn't say cut up your credit cards because, you might need them just tomorrow, But the fact of the matter is, if you identified who you are and you've identified your purpose, you will be able to manage your money and yourself, and you will feel secure. Now, something just dawned on me as I started playing with these words and thinking in reverse, like coping and epoching, saying to my erroneous perception of capacity or exact perception of capacity, I can cope because I can do all things through Christ. I believe by doing this, you have a very simple formula which you can mix and match. And at the end of the day, having simped your life, you'll be a much happier person. Now, let me just show you. I've got 8 minutes left. Then we're through. I've discovered that we have been given 7 days. God has given us 7 days to create our own creation, so to speak. If you're somebody who can design things or can, you are artistic, you can, remember we are building something here. We're doing something with our lives. There is a goal. We want to have, say to ourselves at the end of the day, well, just look at that. It stands by its own merits. I'm even using the words tetelestai, which Jesus said on the cross when he said, it is finished. Now, the meaning of it is finished, or tetelestai, is a wonderful principle, a concept. It says, it is finished and it stands complete. Now, if you and I want to actually come at the end of our life's journey and make it have some eternal worth, value for somebody, we should work on it daily now and plan our resources to actually go into our goal. And yes, we got earthly goals. I love cars. I love going to the beach. I love spending time with my family, but we don't always have the time to do this. So do it when you have the, if you want it to be have some eternal worth, remember we have got 7 days. Now, you've already looked at this a few times. I'm not going to ask your age, but try and slot yourself into that category and say to yourself, remember, I get this. I get this from the fact that on average, we're talking about 70 years. Even the Bible says if you're strong, 70, if you're very strong, 80 years. But let's say I'm 68 now. I'm sitting on Sunday. On the 7th day, I'm really close to midnight. And I'm quite aware of this. This is why I do Zoominars now. First one I've ever done. I just decided I'm not going to wait until everything gets unlocked. I will share it to you like this. So, you know, if it didn't go the way you wanted us to present this, you know, we can improve. But the fact of the matter is, 7 days, you have to make a decision on how you, I mean, I've got very little time. And as a matter of fact, if you are, like some of you, 43 or something, or 47, you are on the Thursday of your life. My daughters are both on the Wednesday afternoon. Now, Wednesday afternoon is very close to the weekend. You should start thinking about, you know, doing your stuff, you know. The first 2 days, you know, little or very little about Monday and Tuesday. I mean, that was your education, trying to figure out who you are. We all go through that. Wednesday, some of you are there, some are there on Thursday, and many of you are on Friday. Fridays are at the, you know, it's taking you into the weekend, and you should rest, and you should actually rest of your work. So, I mean, we're all working on Saturday and Sunday now. Today's Saturday, and we're trying to fit these things in. I'm just trying to say time is very limited. There is a book written, a small little book, which I think for 99 cents you can buy it. 7 days, and then it's time. I'm sitting here. When I open the window, I can actually view this place, which I just took a picture of 5 years ago, and it looks almost the same today. It's the end of your days. Right. Let me leave one special formula with you. So how do I calculate? Remember, we talked about simping your life. 4 simple components. Think. I'm going to do it in reverse now, and you'll see where I'm going. Let's start with the I. You've got to figure out who you are, identity, who you identify with, who is your God, and, you know, what are your skills? What do people see? Because that is who you are. If you discover that, you will find you will have a purpose in life. If you do it the other way, find yourself a purpose, lose yourself in it, and that will be your identity. That is where your security and your confidence will then come in. I actually phrased the word many years, not confidence. I used the word confidence and I changed it to pomfidence, P-O-M-fidence, which is actually the abbreviation for peace of mind, fidence. Now, if you really want to have confidence, get your mind sorted out. Discover that if you have security in God, you have identity, you have purpose, and you start managing your money and your time and your energy around these goals, you will find that you got the most incredible confidence and people will listen to you. Now, how to calculate your eternal worth? How do you get to that big goal? EW stands for eternal worth. I'm going to be very brief in 1 minute. L stands for life. If you have all the money, time, energy, and every kilojoule what you could put your hands on during your life, you put it there, and you make one deduction, self-supporting activities, everything that supports you, your sleeping, eating, drinking, resting, exercising, everything you do that supports you as a person to give you a value, you know, so you could actually do your life like you wanted to. If you deduct the self-supporting activities from life, I haven't got a symbol to give you. It's not money. It's not time. It's not energy. It's some other symbol you can use. If you deduct that from there, you will find that figure becomes very small. That is the eternal worth component of your life. But now you've got to do one more thing. Go and deduct all your materialistic activities and ambitions, all the things you still want to do and make and get to. And if those things are ambitions and activities that revolve around you and they're materialistic, you deduct it, you will discover there's very little left. And this is why I'm saying if you get it right and you balance everything and you sort out yourself and you go towards your goals, you will discover something amazing. You will discover that the whole world is your oyster. Those are your hands. God supports you, but remember there's a debt element. You can spend too much time on other things, then you become bankrupt in time. But from a money point of view, energy and all those things, money, time, and energy, and all your opportunities you spend, you will not be bankrupt. I've just run over my time. I hope the recording lasts. But the long and the short is, as you and I walk through life, we must remember, I mean, this will be copyrighted, but you are welcome. When you get this video clip, if it works out fine, I don't know, it should. Just remember, at the end of the day, it's all about simping your life in such a way that you simplify the way you think, you live, you conduct yourself, you behave, so that at the end of your life, which is the end of your day, you can say, it is finished, it stands complete.